Another dumb podcast. New world order.
For life. The biggest icon.
Another dumb podcast.
For life.
And welcome to another dumb podcast. This is a weird one today because we're kind of playing it's kind of an interesting episode today because I had one lined up. I was going to do a nice presidential debate, recap and all this other stuff. Had it all lined up. These guys telling me, "Oh, I want to be on the podcast. I want to be on the podcast." All right, you can be on the podcast. And then I send them a link and no one responds to me. So, yeah, sorry, no presidential debate. I actually recorded one last night with myself, and I've now come to the realization. It's almost like freeing to realize that I do not like podcasting by myself. Like, I work well with, like, working off someone. Like, I can work with anyone, any podcast, I feel like I could be good to just work off somebody. And I'm good with these intros because they're very short. But with doing a podcast by myself, a long term, an hour's worth of just talking, and it just doesn't work well. I just know I'm not that great. So regardless, I had this episode in my back pocket I've been wanting to use for a while. It's actually, I would say, and just maybe computer illiterate type guy, me, and it was a little miscommunication between me and the Tell Me Where to Turn guys, but they had told me, oh yeah, you just record your side and send it. And I'm like, okay, cool. And then but what was, is like, if you go and listen to their side of the episode, I think I sound awful. I think I sound really bad. And then, but the problem is I recorded it and I sound good and now they sound bad. So this is retribution to the Tell Me Where to Turn guys, that I'm going to make them sound bad and I'm going to sound great. No, the audio's not bad. I've smoothed it out as best I can, but I can only do so much. But yeah, it's a great podcast. It was me and the Tell Me Where to Turn guys, Tommy, Dave, I forgot his name. It's Glenn or something. Regardless, yeah, it's they're fun guys. I like having them. Still need to get Dave on the podcast. I've had Tommy. I don't care to have Glenn on, but yeah, it's nice to have Dave on one of these days. I think we're gonna. I pitched an idea and he hadn't responded back to me. Respond back, Dave. But we're going to. I would like to do an old wrestling pay-per-view review podcast. Let me know in the comments if you'd like to hear that, because I think it would be funny. But yeah, this is a review that we did a few months back, and it was a real fun one. It was Die Hard 3, probably one again. You hear it's actually one of my favorite Die Hards. This was one because I really remember it. Not that I don't like the original Die Hard. It's just one that I kind of actually I remember like watching as a kid. This is the first one because it is kind of standalone. You don't need to watch the other Die Hards to watch this one. So without any further ado, follow me at I am Brad C. Follow the podcast, Another Dumb Podcast. Contribute as well as you can, if you can. We greatly appreciate it. Just give us $1. I don't care. Jacob he's got therapy bills we need to pay for. Not Dave. Dave's not on this podcast, but Jay Cranfield, he's obviously a degenerate gambler, so he needs help. I work at a sawmill, so I don't get paid very much, so might as well just, if you like the podcast, tell your friends. It's getting better. I'm having actually a really good time with this. It's getting better. There's things that we're doing that are better. So, I don't know. I'm just, I really enjoy it. So, we'll keep on doing it. Again, it's kind of hard. Sometimes everybody's got different schedules, so you can only do what you can do. Some of these guys, Tell Me Where to Turn, Game Anywhere. They can you hear me? Sorry, I just really just went over their names like it doesn't even matter. But yeah, they do it whenever they can. I still would like to try to do a podcast a week, so I am fulfilling that duty, but I would like to go a little further, hey, yeah, I really want to have a podcast out each week. So we'll see what happens. I don't think I'm pretty busy this weekend, so I'm not really sure. Maybe we'll have one again earlier next week. We could still go over the debate and some other things, especially like President Trump getting COVID, which is pretty funny. Or I mean, it's not funny, but it's like pretty wild. Yeah, I think that's it. So follow, and also to Tell Me Where to Turn, guys. I don't even know what I'll put their all their info in the show notes, but here it is. Tell Me Where to Turn and Brad C. Review Die Hard 3, as I would like to call it. Another Tell Me Where to Turn. Another dumb Tell Me Where to Turn. So bye. That's it. I'm done with this.
Now, where you going?
School.
Why?
To get educated.
Why?
So I can go to college.
And why is that important?
To get respect.
Respect. And who's the bad guys?
Guys who sell drugs.
Guys who have guns.
And who's the good guys?
We're the good guys.
Who's gonna help you?
Nobody.
So who's gonna help?
We're gonna help ourselves.
And who do we not want to help us?
White people.
That's right. And get on out of here. Go to school.
Okay. Well, okay. This is episode 155 of Tell Me Where to Turn. I'm not sure if we did 2 episode 153s. I need to go back and check on that. But there's a very high likelihood that happened. Because as I was doing some cleanup in the old Dropbox today, I've noticed that Die Hard 1 and 2 were both titled episode 153. So
I'm shocked.
Wow.
Yeah. My apologies. Something doesn't work on this show. I am Tommy2_0. That's where you can find me on Twitter. And you can find the show at Where to Turn Pod.
You can find me at Glenn3_11.
And you can find me at PointBreak_Dave.
And get this, much like Talladega, we're going 4 wide today. We have a special guest.
I would like the music to come on right now and just boom.
If I knew how to do that.
No, we don't have the technology, but
we've got no technology at all. No, we've got Brad C.
Yeah, I am Brad C.
Yes,
on
from
Twitter.
Another dumb podcast,
which you've been on, coincidentally.
Coincidentally, yes.
It's weird how these things work.
Yeah, well, I'm glad one of your producers reached out to me and we got this going. So
yes, Glenn, finally 155 episodes in, contributes something above the Mendoza line. It finally happened. But no, Brad has been following along with our reviews of Die Hard, and he was calling for the ball when he heard Die Hard 3 was going to be reviewed.
Okay, I think that's not exactly true. Okay,
This is how I'm just telling you how Glenn explained it to me.
The only reason we're doing this is because of one scene and one scene only, and I'm going to be quiet through the entire time, so it doesn't matter.
I'm looking forward to seeing how we dance around that scene.
Do it quickly.
Before we get there, did you have a story for us?
Yeah. So we do a lot of bits amongst ourselves. I mean, if any of our various compilations of group texts were to ever be publicly released, we wouldn't even like go back into our office. We would just send them a note card with our address and be like, "Here's where you can ship my things." But when we were in a professional environment, I think for the most part, we try to keep it on the rails. So I had a guy do comedy on me today, and I don't know if he was serious or not. And that's what I wanted to get you guys' opinion on.
It's always the best kind of comedy.
Yeah. So I work in a very generic office building. Well, used to. I now work in a very generic bedroom. And we do because since we've been all remote for the pandemic, we do a team call every Wednesday at 1:00 for 30 minutes. And I lead it. And it's much like this podcast. I spend 5 minutes trying to get everything to work. stumble around my words. We have a few presentations and we go home. So once a month, we do everybody on the team that's celebrating a birthday. Basically, we do Why Today Doesn't Suck. So
Okay, I like this.
So I had the idea. So when I started, like the team was already doing this. So when I started, it was just like, hey, here everybody's birthday. Well, then we added the, hey, it's going to be your birthday, and then you have to send us a slide of you when you were a baby, and we'll make fun of that or whatever. And it's kind of evolved. So as the pandemic's gone on, I've started inviting people to guest host Why Today Doesn't Suck for our team. And it's always fun, and we usually get some of the people that are the bigger personalities in the office. Well, I asked a guy that's in the creative team to do it today, and everybody kind of puts their own spin on it. Well, he does, hey, it's your birthday. Do you want the good news or the bad news first?
All right.
And so I'm thinking, oh, this is a good bit. Like the good news will be like somebody famous was born on your birthday, and the bad news will be some kind of funny joke thing that happened on your birthday. Well, I'm not making this up. So the first guy's birthday is August 1st, and he says, well, you want the good news or the bad news? And the guy says, well, give me the bad news first. And he's like, well, Anne Frank was captured by the...
Good Lord.
Yeah, and then the next guy, it's like, Princess Diana was killed in a car accident on your birthday. And he did the most dark, and nobody knew how to take it, because this is like a recorded professional meeting, and every one of the bad news was something either to do with Nazi Germany or some like tragic death. I mean, I think we had like a space shuttle exploding in there.
This guy's awesome.
Well, that's the question though. So is the guy awesome? I don't know him very well. Is he like so many levels of genius above me that I can't even process it? Is he completely clueless, or did he actually think this was meaningful information that people needed to know today?
Man.
So how did he deliver it? Did he?
No,
he
he delivered it like not
your birthday's
humorous at all.
whatever.
It was like
August.
It was serious. Like, yeah, Princess
Oh,
Diana
no.
passed away today, and Dodi Fayed and whoever else was in that car.
What was the good news?
The good news was just like, oh, and some I don't remember, like one of them was like an art museum opened, and then the last one, which was I don't know where he came up with this, was Jeff Hardy's birthday. So, hey, where does that come from? I don't even really know
Charismatic
this
enigma.
guy. Yeah.
I used to do something similar to that with my staff, but it was basically I steered away from the bad news. It was just more people you shared a birthday with,
Which I feel like is what we typically have done.
but we would I would pick someone that's really random that someone would know, but it would be kind of odd, and someone that wouldn't really match up with the person celebrating the birthday. So like if somebody's turning 60, it'd be like, hey, you share a birthday with Steve-O. As opposed to someone who they would probably like or look like or something like that.
Oh, I thought you were going to do the in today's Wowie. Can I try that next month? You think that would get me in trouble?
Yeah.
Well, I just started a job, so I had to go through an orientation video, and there was this guy. It's like this is actually pretty new. I thought it was going to be like an old orientation video, but it's actually pretty new. There's some topical things that happen in offices, like there was a transgender woman. I mean, this is pretty, I think, pretty relevant nowadays. Okay. But there was this one guy, Ken, who's just saying all the bad things. That's what that guy sounds like. It sounds like Ken. He's just saying all of the horrible things, like hitting on the other girls and messing with this guy who's disabled. So,
what does he think about Kansas City?
Yeah,
Any opinions
he
there?
definitely gives his opinions on Kansas City, on where it rings.
That would be a funny idea if we could lay our hands, because I've obviously, being in a big company, have had to watch some variant of the same video. That would be a funny watch-along review in real time with us.
I need to call my HR right now and be like, I need to find that video.
Yeah,
I'm going to review it.
I was really inspired by that video. I think I want to study it some more.
One more. I need it one more time.
That would be a sure way to get you invited back. But
yeah,
the next...
I'll
The
work
next
on it, guys.
45 minutes to an hour, Brad, is going to determine whether you get invited back, because We have gathered here today to review 1995's Die Hard with a Vengeance. And by the way, I was the guy that spent 5 minutes on HBO Max looking for Die Hard 3.
Yeah.
And finally to Google, what is Die Hard 3?
The real ones know. Real ones don't have to do that.
Yeah.
So,
for sure.
I think we've touched on this, but Tommy, you had never seen any of the first three, correct?
Correct. The only one I had seen was that random newer one that I think was
Live
maybe
Free?
called Live Free or
Live
Die
Free.
Hard. Yeah.
Yeah. So I was in the same boat, and because like everything with this podcast is a well-oiled machine, I was alerted very late in the game that we were doing this today. So I was watching this today, and as I was turning on Skype to wait for this call, I was getting close to the end, and the false finish, if you will, of this movie, I was like, oh, I'm gonna make it, and then it's like, nope, there's 15 more minutes.
Oh my god.
I was like, oh, I clicked, the little time thing at the bottom to bring that up. I was like, how is there 15 more minutes? It's over.
So are we going to be breaking news of the end to you on this?
No, I thankfully we were a little late and I got through it.
All
I
right.
got all the way through it.
So this was released.
To completion, if you will.
Important. It was released in May of 1995 and became the highest grossing film of the year, which is crazy.
That was
It said
shocking
it
to
was
me. I saw that today.
Released to mixed critical reviews, which was not shocking to me.
Well, of course.
Anyway,
But isn't it
So-
shocking that it beat Toy Story?
I was about to say, the more shocking news is apparently this was the only movie that came out in 95.
That's ridiculous.
I would imagine that
This is-
when you started looking at Lifetime and Global, Toy Story has to have surpassed it by this point.
Oh yeah.
Good
By
lord.
now.
Yeah, I agree with Dave. Apparently, this was the only movie released in 1995.
I mean, Waterworld didn't beat it. So,
See?
So we'll get into I think at the end, we'll get into our overall ranking of the movie and where it ranks so far in the trilogy. I will say, as a positioning statement early on, I felt like this one was a little bit harder to follow because there was some weird jumps and things that happened in the plot that didn't make sense. And as I'm taking notes, I'm going, wait a minute, how did we get from here to here? Maybe they went ahead and just cheaped out on the continuity team for
this
this.
is an action movie, Tommy. Just calm down. Like,
No kidding.
this isn't like
Sounds like
Academy
a movie.
Award winning. They're not trying to do that. This is movies for guys who like movies. This is all this is.
One
The
thing-
first movie, they just did away with the plot entirely, so they didn't have that problem.
This was the departure from the first two. He's essentially working on his own to beat the bad guys, but from now on, it's with a sidekick through all the other movies that they make in this series.
And boy,
Yeah,
did
well,
this
it was just
movie.
him and Officer Powell again, right?
Okay. I see what you're doing there, and I don't appreciate it. And
Why?
I'm not kidding.
And this is why he uses a fake name. The movie starts off. If you didn't know you were getting into an action movie, the movie starts off in a crowded New York scene, people everywhere, cabs. They go out of their way to make sure you know it's New York, which I appreciated.
They do it in a weird way, though. They do it by just showing the Empire State Building over and over and over in the little landscapes. Like, you got the Statue of Liberty, you got Times Square, you have a few other buildings that will go unnamed, but there's other things you could show.
And then out of nowhere, kaboom, the entire bottom floor of a department store just
Which is never really mentioned the rest of the movie.
That's true.
Like how
How many died?
Yeah, how
I
many
equated
people
this
in
department store
Metropolitan?
to the first plane in Die Hard 2.
Exactly.
It's like it never really happened.
Well, it's
Like,
probably
they never
again.
mention-
It'd probably again be an explosion where like somebody's pacemaker stops or maybe somebody's water breaks. That's probably all that happened.
That's all it is. All it is.
When explosions happen, that's what happens. So
We cut to the New York police station. It is not as busy as airport security at Dulles, but it is pretty busy. And lots of action, people being ordered around. And then there's a lady that is just insistent that the commander of the police station, he's like, you have to take this call. You have to take this call. And yes, it is the bomber. And immediately I'm like, this guy sounds exactly like Hans Gruber. Like immediately.
All right.
And I'm trying
I did not get that.
Oh, no. That's the first thing I wrote down. I was like, they've figured out a way to bring Hans Gruber back from the dead. Like, this is what they've done.
Well, given I was watching the first part of the movie on my phone, but my note is terrorist calls in. He's using the name Simon. He's obviously Asian.
What? All right.
Wow.
I was wrong.
This is so many perspectives for this movie. I'm so lost.
Yeah, that's not a direction I've ever heard.
I was like, hey, it's
before.
Scar from Lion King. That's all.
Well, we were all over the map here.
Yeah.
He calls in and he wants McClane, who was very quickly revealed is on suspension.
Oh, things have not gone well since Die Hard 2 ended.
So he
The marriage
transferred
is
back
over.
to New York, right? I was confused.
Yeah, so
He moved back.
out. He's now with NYPD. They haven't explained why yet. And the bomber says that they have to find McClane, and McClane will do exactly continue to set off more bombs. So we're a few minutes in, and we've set I'm in it. I'm hooked. This is interesting.
Sorry, I'm thinking about the right next scene coming up here. Like, I know I'm so in.
Well,
they,
yeah.
well, they have to track him down.
Yeah, so
Like
they send their guys looking for McClane, and they find him. He's drunk. He'd been drunk. He's clearly hungover. He's laying on the floor of this police van while they're trying to get him somewhere. He's, wanting aspirin. He's babbling about his wife from the previous movie. And he's been suspended, so you can tell
He went on a bender.
Things aren't going great.
Yeah.
But they haven't really clued you into what's going on. In fact, the first time you see him, he's already in the van, and you're like, okay.
That was
they picked
fast.
him somewhere. Yeah, they're going somewhere. When they get to their destination, he's like taking off his shirt.
Oh,
He's
yes.
down to his boxers.
There's also a weird part where he's clearly taking off his pants, but you think he's gone
Naked, yeah.
full nude.
Yes.
You think he's tackle out because the woman kind of gives him this, hey, and he makes a comment about, you're the first person since my wife, which is another clue that McClane doesn't get physicals very often. She's the first one to see him like that.
He's not a healthy guy.
I'm too concerned with self-health. And they comment several times that he just smells like beer, and that he hasn't taken a shower in several days, and he's wearing the same shirt as from the first movie.
Hey, man,
But
when
the
you got to go to
question
work,
is-
man.
It's
No, it
amazing. So they've now they've kicked him out of this van. They've established he's in Harlem. He's in a bad part of town. He's shirtless in his boxers. He's got some kind of a cardboard sandwich board over him, and he's wandering around the street. But they haven't revealed the bit yet.
No.
So
When they were showing this scene, were you looking for the Mighty Sharp barbershop? Because it looked like that exact same set. Did it not? I know it's Queens in Harlem, but...
Well, McDowell's might have been close by. Although
that
it
would
would
have been a nice tie-in to Die Hard 2.
Yes, under new
Whoa, that
ownership.
clicked on me for a second. I was like, what are you talking? Oh, okay, got it.
Hey,
I'm the younger one of the group, sorry.
Brad, you've got to think fast to keep up with this group.
Man, y'all are on fire. Go ahead.
So it just goes back to either Over the Top or Coming to America. So as long as you just go.
I just watched Over the Top for the first time the other day, so I'm good to go.
Wow. All right. Yeah. No, actually, I saw that on Twitter.
Yeah.
They cut to Samuel L.
Inspiring.
Jackson, who apparently in 1995 is older than he is now.
Zeus.
Oh my gosh! And they revealed his name was Zeus. Like,
But they revealed it that the guys were getting his attention and they were saying,
Hey.
"Hey Zeus."
Hey, Zeus.
So John McClane thought his name was Jesus. And he's like,
Think I'm
"My name's
Dominican?"
not Jesus, MFer. It's Zeus.
But yeah,
Question for Glenn. Who of the movies we've reviewed on this podcast, which Zeus was a better actor? Samuel L. or the guy who couldn't realistically lift weights in No Holds Barred?
I think Samuel by a slight margin.
and he didn't. Zeus didn't ever actually utter a line, so it may not even be the
Kind of grunted.
the whole Bard Zeus. Yeah, he never.
Yeah.
So we're roughly at the 10-ish minute mark of this movie, and the sandwich board is revealed, which says what, Brad?
I'm gonna sit out at this part, and y'all have fun. I gotta go to the restroom real quick. Y'all just carry on. I'll be right back.
So I was under the impression by Glenn that we may be getting an edited version, but the version I watched was not.
No, it was not. And
HBO Max did not appear to feel the need to edit out any parts of this movie.
because I looked for, I did a Google search for some sandwich board
What?
images to see if someone had doctored the sandwich board just to say something funny that was not what was in the movie, and try to use that as, hey, here's what they, changed it to. But I didn't find anything. But the only thing I found, it just said, "I hate everybody." So I was like, you know what? I bet they went back and they made this movie and they just photoshopped it or whatever. And and I don't want to say they sold out. That's a bad way to phrase it. But they stayed true to the original script. And it was as shocking today as it was those many years ago. When
And
I
you know
first
how
saw
long
it.
it's in the film? I mean, it's like literally a second, 2 seconds in the movie, and it's still just the thing that's... I haven't watched this movie in a really long time, and this thing burned into my memory forever. So, and I also want to speak upon the other racial components of this movie that is outlined through the entire movie. And by the way, I know y'all are jacking around about Samuel L. Jackson. This is the movie that I fell in love with this guy. I know...
He's fantastic.
I felt when he's over there telling his nephews about going to school and who do we have take care of us, who do we not have take care of us, I was like, yes, Samuel.
He was fantastic in this movie. Absolutely.
Do we feel like his racial opinions were trying to be disproven in this movie, where now today they're like, no, actually he's pretty spot on.
I don't know exactly. That is kind of weird because he seems more he's ahead of his time in this movie.
Oh yeah.
But I just want to say that this is actually the first Die Hard that I watched whenever I grew up. I didn't watch Die Hard 2 or 3 or 2 or 1. I watched this one first, which is weird.
Wow.
Yeah, I know. And then I watched the first Die Hard, which I loved, and then I never watched the second one. I got 2. I'm good. I don't need to watch the second one. So
The second one is worthwhile.
it is. Well, I watched it after listening to the podcast last week.
Oh, okay.
And it's this is what I love about these movies. I can't believe I don't feel like we make these movies anymore, where it's just, do you want a great, I'm over here, I want a great, screenwriters, I'm like, screw that, just blow some shit up and just go crazy.
Right.
That's what's great about this movie and great about Die Hard 2. And sorry, I'm sorry, I'm derailing the podcast a little bit, but
No,
I'm a
you're
little
good,
passionate
man. I'm
about
with
this.
I'm with you.
Hey, we had you on for your passion. If we wanted somebody with no passion, we would have just had Dave on.
I know.
Okay?
I'm here to bring
Wow.
it.
Yeah.
I'm here, guys.
I didn't know what the sign said until it was revealed in the movie. I've heard Glenn reference it, but I just never bothered to investigate what it was. So I definitely had I did have the headphones on just in case there was small ears around, and yes, I was quite shocked. So apparently the point of the whole exercise is the Simon's trying to get McClane either killed or beat up or just mercilessly troll him. Samuel L. comes out of his pawn shop and doesn't necessarily diffuse the situation, but helps McClane escape in a cab. He later explains he didn't do that because he cared about McClane. It's because he didn't want a bunch of white cops showing up in his neighborhood and shooting people. And I'm like, this movie was way ahead of its time.
Yes. Was he wrong though? Come on.
No,
he's dead on.
His logic throughout this whole movie never really is anything I could take any kind of complaint with, because everything he says is spot on. Now, the next scene is what I think is probably in a movie that is obviously sensationalized. This is the only scene that I think was extraordinarily realistic.
Hold on, are you being sarcastic right now?
No, I think we don't have accurate depictions of police work until the guy from the bomb squad busts into the chief's office, throws the live briefcase bomb down on his desk, and then demonstrates inside the police precinct how it blows up by taking a small amount of the explosive and detonating it on the floor of the police department. I feel like that is exactly what would happen in a police department.
He's an expert. You got to trust him.
You got to. One thing I did want to point out that we missed is during the sandwich board scene, we had taped a gun to our back again, because that must happen in every Die Hard movie.
Just in case he needed it. And fingers crossed that none of the crowd that's gathered stands on the back side. They're all going to stand on the front. Maybe it said "I love" on the back. I don't know. I don't think that would have helped.
Just adding a different phrase would have been like, "Hey, it isn't. It's not hate."
The back just has like JK.
You got to keep reading.
What do you think Gary Patterson thinks about that scene? Is he against it? Probably, like, just he would be like on this podcast just saying it over and over how much he's against it.
I have
not walk around with a sign that says
a friend that, I mean, it's obviously a pretty common name, but named Gary Patterson, and man, I was just like tweeting him all the headlines. I'm like, dude, like, come on, man.
All right.
2020, got to cut that out.
No, I did write down that Charlie the bomb expert is hilarious. He's just
I'm a big fan of his work, but yeah, I feel like taking the live bomb into the chief's office, that's probably a step too far even for Charlie the bomb guy.
Well,
they weren't.
It hasn't mixed.
Yeah, they weren't concerned at all, because he talks later about, well, they could detonate this by remote or by phone or whatever, and they're just like, well, we think this one's okay.
Yeah, they do. I'm glad you said that, Brad. They do point out a unique characteristic of the bomb, which is it has these two different liquids in different cylinders. And when they combine together, that's when it forms the extremely, I guess, potent substance that, as you mentioned, can be triggered by literally anything.
It's kind of like what is it? I guess racing fuel and fertilizer, separate. They're fine. You put them together, a federal building falls down.
Yikes.
It's just classic West.
That's where we're going.
Yeah, or
and once again, I hold my two podcast partners liable for the Oklahoma City bombing, because they were there in Ennis, Texas, the day that they purchased the racing fuel, and they did nothing to stop it.
Yes, Timothy McVeigh and I may have crossed paths that day. But I did
What
not
episode is that?
help him roll the drum out and load it into his truck. As far as I know, I don't know that.
I don't know what episode, but it's been referenced now. The over/under is about 5.5.
The Simon calls back in, and he wants both McClane and Samuel L. Zeus on the phone. And this is when I knew this was going to be a good movie, because as soon as Zeus gets on the phone, he's in the middle of the police station. He's supposed to be this, like, I guess, mild-mannered pawn shop guy. He just starts letting Simon have it. He tells him to take his well-laid plan and stick it up his ass. making Simon so mad that he hangs up, which is amazing. Like, Zeus doesn't care about anything. Like, he doesn't care about bombs going off in New York.
That's white people problems. That's all it
That's
is.
right.
That's white people problems.
And the police chief gets real mad about it. And my first thought is, well, you did let a civilian on the line with the guy you're negotiating with, so
I don't
maybe
know.
look in a mirror here, pal.
I agree.
So this is a terrible plan the police come up with. Simon obviously calls back. He wants them to get to a payphone that's a long distance away. Or I guess not yet, but he wants to get to a payphone. And they're just like, yeah, let's do it. Let's get the civilian that's got no training, that's just already proven to be a huge loose cannon. He's in. We've got our suspended cop. We're just going to re-deputize him. Toss him his
He's
badge back.
pretty much drunk. Might as well just give the gun back.
Yeah, get him his sidearm. They go to this, and this is going to be a theme throughout the movie, is kind of them racing to different payphones in time to take the call from Simon. There's a very large woman on the phone.
I thought that was funny.
Talking about things that probably wouldn't be said in 2020. The police that's kind of doing the stakeout says, yeah, we've got a problem, 300-pound one.
A bit of an obstacle, like how big? And he's like, oh, about 300 pounds. You don't think that'd be said today? Of course that would be said today.
You turn around and McLean has a new sandwich board that just says, I hate fat people.
It's genius. It's genius. They Zeus
That'll
comes
get her off
in
the
and just
phone.
shuts her down too. So Zeus is. He's not doing anything halfway. Like if he's going to commit to this white people problems, he's gonna go all in. He shuts it down. The phone rings. We get a riddle. So this is kind of annoying to me. I found this a little bit annoying. I felt Simon's dialogue was just a little too cheesy for me in these riddles. It was just all felt like forced.
Kind of felt like a bad version of Hannibal Lecter, in my mind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the whole thing with the riddles and sending them to the different places, in the end, he was just stringing John McClane along with the idea that he wasn't going to be able to solve one of these and he was just going to blow up. Like, the plan wasn't really, and we get to that eventually, but that's the other thing. He's just playing a game with him. The other real plan is two totally different plans. Totally different.
Okay, then I have a question. So what if he just gets shot in the face with the sandwich board? What do we do then?
We don't have a movie.
Well, I get that, but do we still rob the
same
It
thought.
goes off without a hitch, but we don't have a movie.
Okay, okay. I mean, I
Not
get
the
that.
same thought though.
As we move forward, the next bomb that detonates was going to detonate no matter what happened.
Yes.
And they were going to go forth with the rest of their plan. So even if McClane gets popped at the corner of 120th and whatever, from then on it would be the same for them.
It just
They'd
feels
be
like
done with McClane.
It just feels like with this heist, it seems like there's a lot of ins and outs of the operations, and then you have a side journey over here because he let your brother slip off a 30-second window. So I don't know. Why
I
make
had
it
the
so
same
hard for
thought.
yourself?
Well, I thought I guess we haven't revealed, but Simon, the bad guy.
Oh, sorry.
No, I don't know if we revealed it yet.
Spoiler alert.
Jeez, I ruined this podcast already.
No, I think we did say it in the beginning.
Only
Yeah,
reason
when
I'm here
Tommy
for
said
it.
he sounds like Gruber, but
Yeah.
I guess my thought was same as Brad, is if either he or he gets killed in Harlem or he blows up on the train, like it seems like one of those two should have happened. He should have never made it past the train. So I always wanted the scene with Simon like trying to quickly scroll out like a third riddle, like, oh, I didn't think he was gonna make it this
Oh
far.
man, itsy bitsy yeah.
It's an homage to Die Hard 1. He's writing the script as it goes on.
I mean, they did have another setup at the stadium afterwards, right?
Yeah, he had a lot of setups.
So yeah, I mean, I guess he gave McClane a fair amount of credit to possibly get through with it, even though he was surprised. Going back to this first phone call, they asked like the easiest riddle. Like if you've ever heard any riddles, you know the answer to this one. It's the one where they give you a whole bunch of misinformation.
Oh yeah.
At the very beginning, it's like, yeah, one guy's doing this, and then here's a whole bunch of other numbers that don't mean anything, and the answer's one. Which Samuel L. apparently he's very good at those things. He figures it out. They scream bomb. A bomb's just gone off in New York City, and not one person on the street even flinched.
You're like, whatever, wuss. Think those happen around here?
Further proof that first bomb those were crisis actors, and it was a false flag. It never happened.
Well, they even mentioned that the 93 bombing had happened. So, I mean, there's a lot of bombings going on.
So they both dive on the sidewalk, and everybody just kind of looks at McClane. And then Samuel L. Jackson, or Zeus, he dives to the ground, and you hear somebody say, "Welcome to New York." And then people start handing him money like he's homeless.
I don't even get that.
Because that's what you always see from the homeless. They're just
dives around screaming weird things.
The next assignment they get is the one that I think the intent was they weren't going to make, which is 90 blocks in 30 minutes. They immediately commandeer a cab, and Bruce is like, hey, the only way to get here, we're going to have to drive through Central Park. And he's not talking about on the road. We're talking about driving in the grass.
I hated this scene.
This car would not have made it 1/4 of a mile. They were beating this thing to death. That engine would have been dead, suspension gone. There's no way the car survives that.
The cars in this movie are surprisingly durable all the way through the movie.
Yeah, we've got a few more thoughts on that later, as a matter of fact.
The cars and people.
Central Park, when he's going through Central Park, is he aiming for the people?
Well,
that mime
seems to be his path.
Like they had a group of people standing there just waiting for a car, so they were very, very quick to get out of the way. So that was good. They were on alert.
Y'all didn't like that line that he said. Are you going for the people? And he goes, no. Well, maybe that mime. That was pretty good.
All the one-liners in Die Hard.
Oh yes.
So he's able to navigate through the park. He gets really close. He has to make a fake 911 call to get traffic moving, where he just says like, hey, some police officers have been shot. That's what he goes with.
Yeah, always a
ambulance appears out of nowhere exactly when he needs it.
We also, in the traffic jam, we have the classic movie thing that drives me crazy. I've been in a few traffic jams in my life. Never has everyone just started honking their car horn. Every movie, like, every car is just like, you know what we're going to do now? Just going to honk the car horn.
I'm not trying to mess with your movie logic, because I think you're right, but this is a New York thing, though. Because they do run around whenever they're moving into each other. They honk to make sure a lot of it's because they're jerks, but a lot of it's they go, hey, I'm right here. That's all it is. So,
okay.
Yeah,
well,
I'm sorry.
No,
if y'all aren't
appreciate
looking
that,
for like facts, I'm
I have not been in a traffic jam in New York. You
no.
know, you read about the 1%ers, and then you meet Brad.
What's up?
You actually know one.
Hey, I think Tommy and I have been in a traffic jam in New York. Mr. Sandwich is driving us to the Mets field.
Your line for that was, I've never been car sick in my life. But that was the closest I've ever been.
Hey, 1 second. I had a note here that I missed, which I guess they were lucky whenever they found Zeus, is that he's good with electronics. He can obviously bust into cars, but he's also good at riddles and math. It was very convenient that they found him.
Lucky.
He's like, I'm good at this. I'm like, you are? You're good at riddles?
It's like they found the perfect guy for this whole thing, and he even does later on. He even proves himself more bold and valuable.
Yeah.
They split up when they get to the subway station. So McClane's on foot. He pulls a grate off right as the train's coming by. Very convenient, so he can just jump right down on top of that.
Can you do that? I've been to New York several times,
No.
bragging montage, but I don't think you can just pull up a grate and
I think you need a
jump on
drill.
train.
You need at least a drill.
I would
Like,
assume
that'd be very
that
dangerous if you could, right?
Of course.
anything before September 11, 2001, I'm
Also
willing
a
to
good-
believe you could do.
Also a good point.
Yes.
Speaking of, when that date comes around, you need to have that same guy host your meeting. If he has any-
Yeah. Anybody has a birthday there? Do you want that news first?
I've got like 6,200 pieces of bad news
Oh
for
my
you.
God.
pal.
Oh, okay. So
Says every name.
The scroll starts running. He's just pointing. John Smithson. Sorry, guy.
So they during the split up, they have the comedy scene where Zeus is in the cab. The most generic stockbroker ever gets in the cab.
More racial stuff.
Yeah, wants a fare. Yeah, some racial stuff. Samuel drives crazy, ditches the car. He's down in the station. McClane's coming in on the train. He's kicked his way into the train, and there is an actual shoot bomb on the train. Like, it's real.
Shoot bomb.
Yeah, that's a wrestling term.
I know.
Brad.
No, I've got it. I was there's
Yeah. This is not a working bomb. This is a shoot bomb.
So was the one in the station, was that a shoot or a work?
Yeah. Well, speaking of, Zeus is trying to get this guy to stop using. I was gonna say get him off the phone, and I caught myself. So you keep saying it. He tried to stop the guy from using the phone, and of course, because now we're adding the racial component in, he's immediately has a policeman drawing a gun.
Right. So you talk about ahead of its time. His crime is that he like jumped the railing or whatever. The
No, he yelled.
carousel.
He yelled at a guy. That's all he did.
He yelled at somebody.
Well, but he didn't pay his fare to get down to the where the train track was, the whatever it's called.
That's punishable by death in New York, by the way. So.
Exactly. So then when you do that
Just
and
saying.
you're seen raising your voice at someone, immediately a gun is
You
pointed to
must
your
be
head.
shot. So.
The phone's ringing. Back on the train, the two chemicals in the bomb have now mixed, so we know the explosion is imminent. McClane's trying to get somewhere where he can get rid of the bomb.
Also, the one thing that added to it is super. What was the bomb guy's name in the police station?
Charlie.
Do we have his?
Charlie?
Charlie.
The Charlie the bomb guy?
The
Yeah,
bomb?
Charlie. Good old Charlie mentions like, hey, once it mixes, you
Don't
don't
be
know.
there.
You know, 20 seconds, minute. We do know this. It lasts shorter than the grenades in Die Hard 2, which are like 4 or 5 minutes.
They
But that
learned.
did add an element. You're like, I don't know when it's gonna blow up. It's gonna happen soon, though.
He seemed calmer than I would be. I'm just saying. The things mixing, I would be like, I don't know, we're all dead. You know, that's not what I would do.
So Zeus answers the phone. Simon tells him it's too late because McClane's not there. The bomb's going off. McClane at the same time is getting the bomb just barely thrown out of the back of the train as the train hits a tripwire. And it's then when I realized this bomb was going off anyways because the tripwire was already there.
Yes.
There's no way Simon can deactivate that. So now my radar's up that there may be there may be some shenanigans afoot. Well, the train explode, like the train doesn't explode, but the explosion happens behind the train. It partially derails. There's wreckage coming through the train station, and then McClane's just laughing, just right out of Die Hard 2.
Amazing train wreck.
Maniacal laugh, yeah.
There's 5 people dead next to him. He's like,
He's just dying.
having a ball.
They also have the Zeus kind of saves the cop that pointed the gun at him, pulls him out of the way. Very classy move. Zeus is classy throughout this whole thing, and
Well, this is the great scene that Brad mentioned earlier when, hey, it's just a pacemaker, the lady's water broke. I wanted the scene where, you know, one of the bad guys goes to Simon, just like, hey, great news. We got a pacemaker. Get the mission accomplished banner.
We've done it. They blew this huge hole in the ground in the subway station, but somehow in the crowded platform, everybody's fine except for the pacemaker and the water breaking.
That was the most. I want to say that's the most unrealistic thing in this movie, but someone should have died, just honorarily.
Yes. There should have been a death or two.
They should have had the pacemaker guy should have died, but then the woman's given birth, so it's a net zero.
There you go.
Well, I mean, the back of the train hijacked. So once it does that, it's on the platform. There's not enough room for anyone to get out of the way. Like, everyone is going to be crushed by that.
Did you say hijacked when you meant jackknife?
Let's say.
I meant jackknife.
Yeah, Diesel would not be very happy with you right now.
But there was a bomb on it, so technically it was also hijacked.
Go ahead, get spin control out here.
I'm just gonna keep drinking. That's all I'm gonna do.
They get out of the subway tunnel, and the FBI's there. There's this other agency that's referred to that they're being kind of mum on who they are. They start showing McClane pictures of bad guys, and he's just being like a real jerk about it. Just being real sarcastic, and I'm like, man, they just blew up the subway. You could at least look at the FBI's pictures. And then there's this guy in the back, and they kind of keep showing him, and he's not talking. And then finally, he reveals that one of the guys he's looking at's name is not, and I don't recall what they said his name was, but his birth last name, his shoot last name was Gruber.
Right.
And his brother, yes, was Hans Gruber. And then I knew it. I said, I knew they were tying this back to Hans Gruber as soon as I heard that Chinese accent at the very beginning.
So, such a strange review of this movie.
This is, yeah.
Gruber calls while they're all in the van, and this is when things get real. He says, like, look, there's 2,400 pounds of this goo. I mean, that's got to be like enough to blow up like a block. And I've put it in one of the, however many 100,000, whatever.
That would be 3,000 chairs that he could move up.
Yeah.
I like it.
I don't know.
I like it.
Tommy hates me.
It's in a school, and they want McClane and Zeus to get to a phone in Tompkins Square Park, which, by the way, Glenn, it's a Mumford & Sons song. It's good.
Oh, is that right? I'll be sure to. I got a few other things to listen to before then, but then I'll get there.
I reviewed a Mumford & Sons concert for this podcast one time.
Yeah, it's the lowest episode we've ever had.
Let's say, what episode is that? So I won't listen.
But at least I know what the theme song for this episode is going to be. That makes that easy for me. In this particular Die Hard, it seems like the FBI is going to be cool. The transit cops are going to be cool. Everybody seems in it together. They've kind of made this plan where they're going to all just go try to search as many of the schools as possible to find this 2,400-pound bomb. And it doesn't seem like anybody's trying to posture to take over.
No, that guy from the second movie, the real jerk chief from the airport.
Yeah.
Nobody like that in this movie.
Chief Lorenzo.
Oh yeah. By the way, he was. I wasn't on that review last week, but he was great in that movie.
Yes, Chief Lorenzo. Yeah,
I miss a guy just saying F-bombs in every sentence.
That role was already taken in this one by Zeus.
That's right.
So Gruber's up on the roof watching all this, sees them leave, and then he immediately turns and says, "They bought it."
Then you know.
And then you know the plan is afoot. And
are we getting to the jugs riddle?
Not there yet.
Close.
You're just ready for the jug.
If you can explain that to me, then you'll be the first to be able to explain it to me. Because I didn't understand
Dude,
that.
go ask Bruce Willis. He won't be able to explain it to you.
Yeah. So here
we'll get there.
Okay.
I've got it worked out.
in unison, not the smoke is not even cleared. All of the aforementioned, well, I guess we didn't say that, but there had been a report of a bunch of stolen dump trucks. Here they all come in a line right up to the.
They did what?
Yeah,
Line.
the line.
Weird things in stress, but
Yeah, who does that? That's ridiculous. They show up. They've got an enormous crew of henchmen. They're all. They've got construction workers. They've got guys disguised as stockbrokers. But they're all kind of walking in unison, which I feel like is a common theme in all these diehards, is these march of the bad guys, like when they were marching out of the hotels with the presents, when they were marching into Nakatomi.
yeah.
Now I've got like the village people walking up here with their construction outfits.
Well, this MacGruber brother, not as diverse. He didn't play with the Rooney Rule for his crew.
It's true. You think they would be more progressive in 95?
Yeah, you would.
Especially as progressive as they were in the first two.
I know.
Well,
It
Matt.
was
Oh,
very Aryan nation. for
by the
sure.
way, let me just mention also the last podcast. Y'all didn't mention the weird hand that y'all missed in the
Did you guys see
yeah.
Brad's tweet about that?
I saw it. Yeah.
where
No,
the black guy, when he's grabbing to get the present, he's like, "I'm leaving the table," and a white hand grabs the present, and and I'm like, "Who is editing that day? Who?
that is not very progressive.
What? What? Yeah. Okay. Sorry. I'm
No, so the bad guys have at least one guy that's a decent talker. He's good on the mic. He gets himself underground. They immediately shoot the cop PR director guy. He's dead.
Which one's that?
What's that?
Which guy did they shoot?
Oh, one of the cops that was like the guy that was trying to coordinate the media, keep them all back, and then he peels off.
Oh, you're talking about a guy there's a part where I want to talk about because his name, the Ricky Walsh. His name is
Okay.
Ricky Walsh, Detective Ricky
Yeah.
Walsh.
Okay.
I wrote down here, maybe the dumbest character in the entire movie. And I'll explain why.
Let's hear it.
He was in the van when they were talking about who everybody was and saw the pictures, and both those guys run by him, and he goes, "Sounds like y'all are just cleaning up Wall Street." Okay.
Oh my God.
Okay,
that's
I'll
great.
go
What
into
a great call. I can't believe I missed that.
He just goes into the elevator with these weird, creepy guy. Oh, this is Otto. Who? Or no, that was a different guy. That was a different time. But just goes along with him and just deserved to die more than anyone in that entire movie.
Yeah. And they all deserve to die for playing their badge numbers in a 4-number lottery. That
What
apparently
kind of
also
lottery?
has the number 91.
What do you win in that lottery? Is it like either like $1,000 or $1 million?
Yeah, I don't understand. Yeah, I don't understand any of that.
But there is a
no,
callback to that
lots of
later.
great-
There's a callback to that later, which we didn't really discuss. But the whole lotto number.
It's a small plot point, but there is a callback to it later. And he had the number 69 in his badge number, so I thought that was nice.
Nice.
Yeah, but it's going to be, from a lottery standpoint, you want to do that because that's going to be a favorite. You're going to have a lot of ownership there. That's true. Referred to in the daily fantasy world.
You might have to split that, though. I don't know.
That's what. Yeah.
You might want to fade the 69.
Yeah,
That's right.
it's true.
I want to
Because
find a contrarian number to play.
But I was looking for my Ricky Walsh part to put in there because he is the dumbest character in this entire movie.
Brad, you redeemed yourself.
There
You're
we
back
go.
You're invited back on the
Yay!
show.
So what was
You've done
Simon's fake name? Was it Bob Thompson? Like the City of Engineers.
Oh yeah, it was something like
Sounded
that.
very
With the
fake.
American accent. Yeah.
So the bad guys are clearly, they've got equipment. They're about to do some heavy tunneling and some heavy petting. We'll do later as well. Inside the bank, after they've executed Walsh, the dumbest cop I've just learned, the last remaining living security guard, this guy, if he's not on the medal stand for dumbest cop, he gets his hands on a better weapon. He's all by himself, and then he just starts indiscriminately firing everywhere.
By the way, did anybody count the shots? I lost count of the shots, but maybe 10 out of a shotgun.
Yeah.
Way too many for a shotgun.
Yeah, and he's just
3,
he's just
maybe
pumping up
4. Okay.
into the air, and the crazy woman bad guy, China bad guy.
Sonny, how about
She has some kind of
Yeah.
curved blade, and she comes in and like takes this guy out in the most athletic ballet moves, and she just keeps slicing him until Gruber's finally like, all right, I think he's dead. I think we can stop now.
she loves blood too? Like,
Yes.
Yeah.
It didn't
Yes.
affect her at all.
Yeah. Does she say anything in this movie? Does she have a single line?
I think she screams at the end when she shoots her gun at. That's it.
Yeah. I don't know if she did or not. That's a good point. She definitely had some grunts.
A lot of grunts and
Yeah.
mms.
So, Ru- Gruber's right in the middle of this. So they got this guy. He's been knifed. There's blood everywhere. They're boring inside of this Federal Reserve that they've broken into. Meanwhile, McClane and Zeus are over at this park, and somehow Simon just has this amazing internal clock that he knows the exact right time to call the payphone while all hell's breaking loose, and he's in the midst of it. He doesn't even have an iPhone. He has to get a real phone. He didn't have an alarm set or anything. It's amazing.
He could have done he could have used, scheduled tweets or something where you can just kind of pre-plan it and just kind of have it fire off at a time. Like that would have helped.
Or just another generic German guy to just make his phone calls for him.
Yeah. Maybe outsource it to
Outs-
China.
So at Tompkins Square Park, there's another bomb. And we are now going to stop this podcast, and we're going to do an entire another podcast about how they defused this bomb.
So
I do not understand what happened.
did anybody else draw a 5-gallon jug next to a 3-gallon jug and try to figure this out?
Did you not go to Walmart and just purchase your own and try to do it yourself?
So
For those that haven't seen the movie, the parameters are very simple to disarm this bomb. You have to put on the counterweight exactly 4 gallons of water. They give you very little wiggle room on either side, I think an ounce. They've provided 2 empty containers, a 5 and a what, 2?
3.
Or 3. A 5 and a 3-gallon jug. And they have to somehow fill one of those 2 up with 4 gallons of water.
Right. So, okay. Well, I just got hijack and jackknife mixed up, so I'm trying to think of.
I was about to say, he's our leader in the jugs, so go for it.
So, you fill up the 5-gallon, and you pour. So now you have 2 in the 5-gallon jug, and then you pour out 3. Okay, hold on.
Okay, no, I've already lost.
No. So
You
now
need
you have
a
2.
third jug for this to work, I'm telling you.
No. Then you have 2 gallons in the 5-gallon jug. You have 0 in the 3. You now pour the 2 gallons into the 3. Okay, so now you have an empty 5-gallon, and you have
2 in the 3.
2 in the 3. You then fill up the 5-gallon jug. Okay, so now you have 5 gallons in the 5-gallon. You have 2 gallons in the 3-gallon. You fill up the 3-gallon. 5 minus 1 is 4. You put the 4. You defuse the bomb.
You lost me at the end.
No, I'm still lost. And you kind of broke up a little bit there.
What happened?
Yeah, I'm lost.
You still have 7 gallons of water.
I need a YouTube explainer.
You do between the 2. You have 4 in one of them. You only need
How
one
do you
of
have
them
4 in one of them?
because you filled it up, and you had 2 sitting in the 3-gallon jug, and you
Right.
filled up the 5 all the way up, and you
Right.
had 1 gallon of space in the 3-gallon jug. So then you poured the 1 gallon out of the 5, leaving you 4, and then you defuse the bomb.
Bloom has it. That's it.
Oh, I got it.
But I had to draw it and think it through.
Wow.
So
There you have it.
Flynn and Samuel L. are the only two people in the world. Actually, I guess McClane. Did McClane
No,
figure this one out?
this was McClane. They had to show like, oh, I know riddles too, and McClane did this.
Yeah, but hold
That's
on a
true.
second. So, Stardo, I don't want to get stuck here, but what was the first thing they did to get it? I
What
mean,
you do is you
Sandwich
fill-
board? What?
So John McClane wore a sandwich board.
so how did they get the 2 gallons?
You fill up the 5, and then you pour it all into the 3, leaving you 2.
In the 5.
Yeah. Then dump the 3 out of the 3.
You put the 2 in the 3.
Wait, hold on. Now
Yeah.
I've got myself confused. Yeah.
You got
Dump the 3, put the 2 in the 3, then fill the 5 again, and then empty the gallon that's left.
I'm gonna send you a
down the
link.
space left.
Tommy, I'm gonna send you a link. I found a link of how to fully explain this, so we can move on. Because I was like,
It works.
I need
but
a
it's
cigarette.
not really your fault. It really is the movie's fault because they get into another racial argument and then it totally derails you and then they go, oh, I know how to do it now. I'm like, well, hold on, you were just having a racial argument. I gotta. So it's
I
the
don't
movie's
usually
fault.
do this, but I'm just going to read you the exact sentence from my note. It says, they are having a racist argument, but somehow figure out how to disarm the bomb, and I didn't follow anything that happened.
Oh well. By the way, he was.
That's what we just had. here
Yeah,
on the
for
podcast.
sure. But
I get it now. I've got it. Glenn's explanation. I am now tracking. I
Now-
understand.
now, in McClane's defense, he wasn't going to call him that. He was going to call him MFer, but and then he changed his other story. He goes, no, I was going to call you an a-hole. So which is
Yeah.
it, McClane? So,
It did get a little convoluted there because he seemed to change his story.
yeah, I was like, well, maybe he was. I don't know.
So they think after getting this one solved that the next clue, because there was tickets to a Yankee game, that they're headed to Yankee Stadium. And I'm like, oh, this will be fun. They're walking down the street. They see some kids stealing candy. They, say like they're getting chased by. Like, what are you doing? The kid says, well, there's no cops anywhere around here. It's like, so basically they've turned it into Chaz or Chop or whatever.
It's basically Portland right now.
This movie was way ahead of its time. This is unbelievable. And then that's when the light bulb goes off for McClane. And unlike the water bottles, the light bulb also went off for me here. I got that analogy.
Yes. It is interesting, though, that the only people that realized they could commit crimes were these 2 kids. Because, like...
Everyone
you
else
expect
does it? Yeah.
Yeah, you expect the rest of it to be like a, Gotham City in a Batman movie where there's just, like, crime going on everywhere. It's just like, no, these 2 kids and then the big heist.
Yeah.
That's it.
The kids stealing chips and gold bars. That's it.
So maybe, speaking this movie is ahead of its time, maybe there was a subtle plot point of, do we need the police?
Ooh. All right.
Maybe we should defund them by taking all the gold.
What a concept.
High concept.
So I wanted to, because this is a semi-wrestling podcast, I wanted to actually take it off because they have the bomb that they just disarmed. They said, oh, we got to, not leave it around. Some kid will get it. So he finds these policemen who are also, I don't know, I want to know a head count of how many guys they have because
And
they have a
big
lot of guys working for them.
But when you steal that much money, you can afford to pay everybody.
Well, you have gold bars. I mean, you can have a large, HR is probably having a nightmare, but having a hell of a time. But this is a wrestling podcast somewhat. There is a wrestler in this movie. Did anybody catch him?
I didn't. I
No,
looked
not.
too.
None of y'all did. Okay. Making an appearance in this movie, I feel like I'm really helping out this podcast, but was Ludwig Borga was in this movie.
Really?
Yes, he was one of the. So as their
Otto?
no, he was not Otto. He was as one of the just kind of generic. You'll go watch the movie again, but he's in this movie. He's one of the guys who he hands the briefcase, and then he also takes one of the other henchmen, police guys. He grabs the briefcase, and that is Ludwig Borga, which was flame out WWF superstar. So,
Fun fact that I did not know.
I'm bringing it all today. I was not going to come on your podcast just half-assing it. I'm here to bring it, guys.
He brought it. McClane walks into the Federal Reserve. I don't know why he did this, because he has to, at this point, assume things are not as they seem. The security guard, when he's talking to him, his accent changes like 4 times, which I don't understand. McClane gets right into the elevator with all the bad guys, and they're all huge.
He knows what's going on, though.
Yeah,
he knows something is afoot, because he's like, that guy sounds like he's Asian. That guy's from Germany. I don't know what this guy's doing.
You also got the mess ups. He says, the guy says it's raining like dogs and cats, and then he also calls the elevator a lift or something. Like, it was very much, the
clues were all there.
Yeah.
Clues were all
Even
there.
with a hangover, you should be able to get this.
Yes.
Yeah. And then to top it all off, he recognizes the badge number. He asks about the lottery numbers. None of them know. And then he just, like, it just happens. Like, he just unloads. Just firing everywhere. He leaves a blood
gun, by the way.
He leaves a bloodbath in this elevator. Well, when he gets out and he's down below, he runs into Zeus, and Zeus is like, "What's going on?" He goes, "Hey, go look in the elevator." Like, what kind of friend is that? You want to see the most horrific thing you've ever seen in your entire life? Go look in that elevator. That's what happened.
I had a quick question. Why were they there? Why were the security guards there?
I guess just to make it look like business as usual.
Yeah, just to kind of put up the guys that there's nothing suspicious going on underneath.
It's kind of like at Nakatomi. Why is
that one guy
Lewis working the front desk? You got to make sure it just looks like a normal day.
Well, I mean, getting gold bars out of New York is a long process, so you got to kind of, hold it off for a little bit. But you'd stolen everything. I just didn't know why you kept them there.
Yeah, so they there's still some gold bar carnage laying around, meaning there's gold bars laying around, but the dump trucks have gone. Zeus, which is awesome, like grabs a gold bar that he's keeping it, like he's hanging on to this. They grab a car. They see the dump trucks. I feel like having all the dump trucks driving like in perfect formation. Like they're doing a formation lap at full speedway. That was not a good idea.
Also, I guess it was 95, so obviously with the Live Free or Die Hard, they get way more on the tech side of Mayhem. But does it feel a little cheap? Like, they're going to steal gold bars, everyone. Doesn't it seem kind of cartoony? Or did they do a focus group after the first movie when Glenn was like, I don't know what bearer bonds are? And they're like, hey, you know what it should be?
Keep it simple.
It should just be gold. Everyone knows what that is.
The very easily redeemable gold. You just walk a gold bar into like a Wells Fargo, and they're like, oh, well, yes, sir. And they just start flipping hundreds at you.
We're going to go to gold and silver exchange. Hey, we got 14 trucks.
Get 20 cents on the dollar.
They make it now. We have to do Bitcoin.
Yeah.
So.
And then, like, Bitcoin's worthless. By the time they get out of there, they're like, oh,
shit. Oh,
we
man.
gotta ride this wave back up. Hold on.
At some point, they steal another car. They have to switch because the Yugo there ends a piece of crap, and Zeus leaves his gold bar in the car. So he does not get to retain.
And he's got a phone.
This is true.
Yeah.
Yes. They shot the phone.
They shot the phone.
They, bad guy, Gruber, calls a radio station to alert the city to the plot. What radio host, man, what a piece of work this guy was. Just all relaxed. Just can't be bothered with anything. And then here he's got the breaking story. And so we had a department store blow up. We had the subway blow up. Nobody bothered to stop any of the schools. Yankee game still going on as planned. But this radio show that probably nobody's listening to, this sets the entire city into pandemonium.
Well, in defense, this is actually Elvis Duran. I don't know if you know who that is.
Is he a wrestler too?
You're a New York expert.
Brad came on here to ruin all of our jokes. It's fact.
That's all I'm here to do and talk about sandwich boards.
We do not want your alternative facts on this show. No, who is this guy?
No, Elvis Duran, I don't know if he's still on air, but I think he's like one of the biggest radio hosts, like next to like, you would see like Kid Craddock on the iHeartRadio thing. Elvis Duran was like right there, like one of the bigger.
He had just a straight cameo in Die Hard.
I didn't notice until I heard his name. I go, he's like Elvis Duran, and I'm like, oh, this is Elvis Duran, huh? I don't know. I don't listen to him, but I know that he's probably pretty popular.
Amazing.
How's Kid Craddock doing these days?
Not great. Too soon.
Is it?
When was that? It has to be 5+ years ago.
No, I think probably a little more. I was in Mexico when I found out about that.
Okay, so the bad guys have so they've got the dump trucks. They figured out this clever escape plan, which is they're gonna escape through this aqueduct tunnel that gets them out of the city into a place where they apparently can load the gold onto a ship, although those plans may be a little bit of a ruse. McClane has...
Quick, is that real? And B, should a New York cop know it exists? Because McClane seemed baffled that there was this aqueduct.
Oh yeah, he had no idea what it was, because what he had done, and I did skip over this, but he had grabbed he had stopped a dump truck thinking it was one of the bad guys. It's not. He had grabbed this guy. This guy's more than happy to explain to him about the whole aqueduct situation, and apparently they were working on it, so he took him there to get the pursuit started. But yeah, I mean, it seemed like a fairly big project to be completely blissfully unaware of. I don't know. I mean, that just my opinion.
What, the multi-billion-dollar aqueduct project?
Yeah, but I mean, McClane's a drunk. I mean, he can't be bothered with this kind of stuff.
It's true.
They and I forgot. Gosh, I did forget this. So there was another clue that was passed along about the school, and it had to do with the 21st president that nobody knows.
Yeah.
And McClane and Zeus are trying to figure this out, and it's just kind of a running gag along the way. Zeus goes to Yankee Stadium. There's not really much that happens there except that they could have taken him out, and they chose not to.
I think that was the whole point. That was the only thing that setup was for. I can't remember. He finds something.
It's just like a little marble baseball game, and it says "Game Over."
That's what it said.
The plan was to just execute him there, but since the plane wasn't there, they just figured they were going to let it slide because they were really after McClane. So the bad guys are escaping down the tunnel. McClane's in pursuit. He somehow gets a hold of the radio, and he's just trolling them mercilessly on the radio while in the pursuit, which I love. Their plan, the bad guys, is, as they're slightly ahead of him, is that they're going to detonate some of this explosive and blow the water back into the aqueduct to flood McClane out. And this is when we get to see probably the first really ridiculous stunt of the movie. We get the most CGI water I've ever seen. I mean, come on. That the best.
Bad.
This wasn't realistic to you, Tommy, huh?
He also has an expert.
See, now I expect Brad to be like, well, actually, I read the film notes, and that is real water that they use.
He's an expert semi-truck driver.
Yeah.
Yeah, oh yeah. No
He
problem.
180s that thing, which I'm sure is impossible.
Exactly.
He gets on top of the moving truck, like the truck's still moving. He gets on top as the water's bearing down on him, grabs an escape hatch, then gets like geysered out the top.
Well, first he hangs on as the tsunami is like
No way that
the
happens.
grip strength is unbelievable. Like he's been doing his farmer's carries at the gym. And then if you have like a tunnel that's filling with water, it's not like a pressurized line. Like there's no way it shoots a body 20 feet up in the air.
Yeah, and in fact, there's and Brad, don't disprove me because this is true. I used to work in irrigation.
Uh-oh.
There is a principle with water flow that it's going to follow the path of least resistance. So if you have a 60-foot tunnel, the water's probably just going to flow down that and not blow 1,000,000 feet straight up in the air out of the tiny little manhole.
So you
Fun
think
fact about water.
he would have just awkwardly and just kind of slowly floated through the aqueduct as opposed to being shot up 20 feet into the air?
And the other part that you don't find realistic, Tommy, is that Zeus was just simultaneously driving by. Wasn't that so realistic that he just looks over and sees this, oh, that's my partner over there just came out of a manhole.
You leave Yankee Stadium's like, I'll just drive to the Aqueduct project. That'll be a good idea. Oh, and there's McClane shooting out of the ground.
It was also my favorite part of the movie.
It's the part of the movie that I laughed out loud. I mean, hard. I love this part. Oh, well, except that other part at the end. I'll leave that to
This one got me pretty good. The only thing that would have made it better was if Zeus just happened to have stolen a convertible and McClane just like landed in the passenger seat as he's driving 60. And he's like, hey!
Oh, hey, what's up?
So they'd figured out that the 21st president was Chester A. Arthur. There's a Chester A. Arthur High School. The cops are there. They find the bomb in this fridge. It has 32 minutes left on the counter. This is the part of the movie where there's going to be a lot of cutting back and forth. So we'll try to keep this straight because there's a little bit at the school and then a little bit with McClane and Zeus. So McClane and Zeus are still in hot pursuit. They are being chased by a guy in like a Dodge pickup.
It's a Dodge Ram.
The most well-made pickup ever built, as we'll find here in a minute. They wreck their car. I don't know if you guys caught this. You can clearly see a cable pulling the car over to flip. I mean, it's like the most botched scene I've ever seen. I mean, you could see the winch cable connected to the roof pulling it over. Or maybe it was a CGI winch cable. I'm not sure.
I didn't notice.
Well, No, I didn't. I missed that part.
So, go back and check that out. Their car flips. The Dodge, they wreck the hell out of the Dodge. There's no way it's drivable. Get back to that. Meanwhile, the school, they've got the kids lined up. Their plan is they're going to kind of wait to see if they can defuse the bomb or see if they can get a code from McClane. And then if they're waiting till the last minute, if not, they're just going to have everybody run for it. The bomb's
not a bad plan, honestly.
This is a great plan. There's no way, like, if you get out the door, you're fine.
I don't know. I mean, it might blow up the entire block, but
Yeah, the blast radius is minimal on this thing. It's in a, I mean,
it all blows straight up in the air. So
and down.
Exactly.
You're good.
Yeah. So, McClane and Zeus, they get in this completely wrecked Dodge truck and they start driving, and it turns out it's completely fine. There's nothing wrong with it. It's been in this severe accident. Just the hood's gone, but it's great. It's running fine. They're in hot pursuit. They get down to where they think the criminals are escaping with the gold on a boat. They're on a bridge. The truck conveniently has a brand new winch installed on the front.
Convenient.
Like, doesn't have any signs of aging on it at all. They are gonna winch cable down, like shimmy across it and drop down on the boat, and all of a sudden Zeus is like, hey, I got this. I've been afraid of all these things throughout the whole movie, but now that we're going to do this half-baked stunt on a winch cable from a busted-up truck, like, I'm in. I'm going first.
Where's the old this is white people's problems here. He just threw that out the door at this moment and goes, I got this.
His first idea is he's just going to jump from the bridge down to the cargo ship.
Well, hold on real quick. And this, given I was panic watching the last 25 minutes of this movie right before the podcast, were Zeus's kids at that school?
The nephews were, yeah. So that is probably why he's a little bit more...
That's why I think he suddenly got brave.
Yes, because he wanted to get the codes to save them. And then one more thing, because we're going to pass the school part. I looked this up. I was like, is there a Chester A. Arthur Elementary? And I knew also that in New York City, they don't name any of the public schools. You know that?
No.
They name them all PS whatever. So I looked up the Harlem PS schools, elementaries, and it's PS, I believe 151 and 149 is what they have. Oh no, 154 and 149 is what. So there is no Chester A. Arthur. It was just plot points for the movie. You can't just.
Hey,
I guess you could have done a multiplication, riddle, but
yeah,
wouldn't have
it
been
does seem like. Maybe like the writer of this movie just really liked
Chester A. Arthur.
Like that's his favorite
This is
president.
the most random president ever.
Unbelievable. They start this winch situation. The truck starts to slip. It's going over the bridge. They're swinging by the winch cable. It snaps loose. It cuts a guy in half.
He gets off a couple shots before.
Yeah.
That's where I was
Before he
rocking
completely
out. I
splits
was
in half.
loving this part.
God.
This part was
Just
great.
so much going on. They have to. Zeus doesn't particularly like this part. They have to move the two halves of the guy's body.
Why?
I guess so nobody spots it on the. I don't know why they did that. It seemed like a waste of time.
And also, they were like right next to each other, but it looked like the top half went way farther than the bottom half. But
I don't understand. McClane hands Zeus a gun, and we have the great line of, "Hey, not all brothers know how to shoot guns."
He gave him a tip as to how to do it, but he didn't include the most important aspect,
Indeed.
which we'll find out here pretty soon.
yeah,
Yeah.
So Zeus is on a mission. He wants to save the kids. He's going to find Gruber and beat the code out of him. But as Glenn mentioned, there was one problem with the gun.
Safety was on,
We didn't know how to get the safety off.
which he tries to pull the trigger. Blowing Simon's head off is probably not a good way to get the codes.
I had the
Just
same
look at-
thought.
just look at the woman and be like, "Do you have the codes?" Like,
She's like, I'm a mute. I've not said anything in 2 hours. She
Would it have been
does like a ballet, just slices his head off.
Would it have been a great callback to Die Hard 1 if he shot him and was like, "Okay, and now we're on to Plan B."
yeah, that would have been great.
I would have loved that. The school evacuations now started. The kids are running out. We cut back to the ship. McClane's fighting the really big bad guy, stabs him in the leg, and the guy like completely no-sells it. It's just like Ultimate Warrior 1988. Like, he's not selling anything here.
Say like Undertaker 1999.
Right.
Yeah. He's got the urn. He's sitting up. Meanwhile, back at the school, they realize the Samuel L. nephews or cousins or whatever they are still in there.
Which is a shame because in the running race they would have won.
Damn. I take myself out of this podcast right now.
Brad, we'll edit you out of this.
Yeah,
I'm
I'm
sorry.
just every
wanna
time I talk,
apologize.
just pretend like I wasn't there. I'm not.
Yeah, this is not how we wanted this to go. Here's where I need somebody. It's possible. I feel like I was pretty locked into this movie. Tell me, did I miss something here? He stabbed the guy in the leg and no sells it.
Yeah.
Then he hits him with a chain,
No, he trips him.
or he trips him with a chain, and that takes the guy out.
I guess it knocks him out because he hits his head.
There's got to be a deleted scene somewhere. I'm not
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
Because
I have a lot of
there's not there's not good continuity there as to what happened. Because I watched it today and had the same thought of, wait, how did that end again? Is that guy dead or undead? What's going on here?
We'll find out. But hey,
That was very strange.
during part of those scenes where he shoots. By the way, there's a lot of times where McClane shoots people and he's like not 100% sure that they're the bad guys.
Yes.
So, like-
in the dump truck, he does that.
So this one guy just goes in German, "Don't shoot," and he shoots him. I was like, "Hey, is there a part like where they sell this to Germany where actually McClane is the bad guy and the Germans are the good guys? Do they like whenever like they have another they like reshoot the
American
ending?
goes on a rampage.
They reshoot the ending as them just taking off with the gold and they win.
Yes.
Or are you saying that we're still ahead of our time, that it was just trying to portray that if you walk up to a policeman and put your hands up and say don't shoot, that they'll just blow you the hell away?
Dude,
In McClane's defense,
it's like a time traveler made this movie or something.
In McClane's defense, they are in New York, so it's not like, there's a lot of tourists from other countries that might just be Germans that are hanging out in.
I mean, if you're going to be on that boat, you're going to be in bad trouble right there. I mean,
I'm so glad you brought that up, though, because I do remember, he originally tries to get the wrong guy in the dump truck, but then the first dump truck he encounters in the tunnel, he just blows the guys away through the door without even identifying who they are.
good
Like,
guess.
just
Good
really-
guess.
Yeah, he was 1,000%, but
But you're wrong. You
tripped
just
the
killed
security.
Jeff over there. He's just hanging out, just driving a dump truck.
Fall off.
So somehow he's defeated the bad guy that no-sold the leg stab. We don't know, with a chain apparently. The bomb squad guy Charlie, he's working frantically at the school. The liquids start to mix in the bomb,
OS.
which begs the question: wouldn't this be the easiest bomb ever to defuse?
Can you just get the hose away from the middle part or whatever?
Don't you? Yeah, or just drain one of the tubes. Like he was worried about the wiring.
Cutting wires.
Charlie like totally let me down here.
He's just there for comedy effects. That's all.
Well, here's my favorite part. It turns out the bomb is fake, but they went to the extreme level of detail in the fake bomb to go ahead and have the mixing routine happen. Like, couldn't they just have built a fake bomb that looked like the real bomb and then never did anything?
And then just
When it
popped
was-
out like a little thing that said "pow" and just
But they actually have it go through the mixing routine, and then it all spits out on Charlie, and he says it was like syrup or something.
Yeah. Like, why is it syrup? Like, why isn't it just like water with food coloring? Like,
No, but I mean, think about that though. Like, you buy syrup in 12-ounce containers, and they're like
Yeah.
$7 or $8. Like, to fill that thing up with syrup, that probably costs like several gold bricks.
who's the German guy who had to go to this? I'm taking all the syrup.
Can you imagine that? They were like, 14 dump trucks were stolen.
You know,
And 300 gallons of syrup, 12 ounces at a time.
yeah, all
there's a deleted scene where Otto's just like one at a time, just pouring them in.
I'll have this ready by the end of the day. I promise.
Yeah. So back on the boat, Gruber's he's caught McClane. McClane's basically dead to rights at this point, but he's still just trolling Gruber mercilessly about his brother, just being a, he's just like ripping into his brother. They find out that the plan is now, and Dave, this is probably where it starts to get murky for you.
Yes.
The plan is now just to blow the ship and the gold up entirely, or at least so they purport that's the plan. And McClane and Zeus are tied on top of the real bomb on the ship. They're I guess the idea is they're gonna blow all the gold up, put it at the bottom of the sea, and then
And years later,
redistribute the world's wealth.
Years later, the Pomerankies are gonna come.
Mr. Gold is going to show up with the Christine Rose and just start filling the sluice box. That's a joke for two people.
Exactly.
Don't listen to the
I'm
podcast.
sitting over here like, what? All right.
But by the way, great show if you want to check it out. Discovery Channel, Bering Sea Gold. Look into it. Turns out though, the gold's not even on the ship. Life comes at you very fast when you work for Grouper. He's already double-crossed the majority of his crew, or of the portion of his crew. The
Yeah,
gold's
he's
somewhere else. He's got fake gold on the boat. The
he's
chain guy.
double-crossed. The chain guy who I tabbed was the German JBL.
Oh, I was thinking more like Marty Jannetty. He's already thrown him through the window.
Yes.
He's
Also fair.
all right. Cool. Am I getting along with this wrestling?
Shawn Michaels then is the girl.
Yes,
because she's
you're
up
in.
to-
I'm here for the wrestling
Yeah,
references.
she pulls the trigger. He's dead because he's figured it out. So now her allegiance clearly with Gruber. We're back in there. McLean and Zeus are handcuffed. They go through this painful scene where they have like a splinter of the cable. They pass it through. Of course, even though he can't shoot a gun, he can do everything else. He can hotwire a car, solve
Riddles.
math problems, pick handcuffs. He gets McLean's cuff off, but the little shard of the
Fell down.
is gone. He doesn't have it. We've got to figure out what to do. So McLean's out. He does what he's supposed to be doing, busting the tubes, getting that bomb crap spraying everywhere.
And he mixes the perfect amount to then, like, whack against the handcuffs.
You put
and
too
make
much,
them break
and then
apart.
you put too much, and Zeus doesn't have hands anymore.
Yeah.
So
Like he's like what happened to him in Jurassic Park.
no, I was thinking like Tropic Thunder, like just.
He said, "Hold on to your butts," and the next thing you know, he didn't have an arm.
But like Brad said, it's good that they knew like how much it took to blow up one chair, because then he can just kind of do his quick 5-gallon jug to 3-gallon jug math and figure out the exact amount.
Well, you see that he's already good at that. So yeah.
He is. He absolutely is.
Well, as they're escaping the ship, I mean, it explodes epically. But what we've learned one thing from this movie is if you are within very close proximity to a blast, you will be fine.
Just swim down. That's all you gotta do.
Away.
No danger there. That's the safest place to be in a blast, is right next to it.
And this was obviously the end of the movie, as I thought. And then I was like,
15
nope,
more minutes.
15 more.
It was basically that the bad guys had won, and the whole thing was that Zeus was talking to John throughout the movie about he needed to call his wife. So at the end, it's like, hey, they got away, but we did what we could. But he gives them a quarter to go call on the payphone, which payphones are throughout this whole movie, and I just thought, that used to be a thing. And think of how disgusting that is.
Yes.
A New York City payphone, how much just chlamydia and...
Well, that's
who
why we
knows
probably
what.
need them back. We need them back because we got rid of them, and look where we are now.
It's true.
Not a bad point.
There we go. Science right there.
There was a small detail that was left out. McLean had asked Gruber as he was leaving for some aspirin, and he tosses him an aspirin bottle, which apparently, I mean, all my aspirin bottles have the address of my hideout printed on the bottom. I don't know if you guys have that too.
Where to go? Where my hideout is.
Yeah,
right
and
there
just
at the
print
bottom.
that right on the bottom of your. It's the safest place to print.
Was that the
in-
same bottle he had been popping the whole day?
Yeah,
Because he has migraines. And he
Yeah,
just
that's right.
He just has popping. They also use that little exposition in the. He suffers from migraines, and that's why he keeps popping the pills.
Yeah,
And is-
pop in the pill.
This was 95, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Was aspirin like a prescription?
I know.
Like, why is that like?
Well,
Why does that have an address on there at all?
yeah. Isn't it weird because isn't it also easier to get stuff in Canada than it is here? So wouldn't it, if it was a prescription here, wouldn't it be more likely to be over the counter there? I don't know. I'm not into drugs.
Just maybe if you were going to be in Canada, just go ahead and go all in with like the Vicodin or something. I don't know. But while he's calling his wife, he notices on the bottom of the aspirin bottle the address, which causes him to immediately leave the phone. They're all hands on deck, heading to where the bad guys are, who are having a heck of a party, man. They're like doing the Formula One podium celebration.
Did the address on the okay? If you knew nothing about anything, did that address mean anything to any of y'all until they showed the sign?
No, just that it was. I think it was in French, wasn't it? So
yeah,
it was Montreal.
Like Montreal, but so is McClane that world traveler? He knows exactly where that is.
That whole part of the plot just fits.
In whatever that said, I forgot what it said. I wouldn't try to
Ligra something. I don't know.
Exactly. It's French. It's French for 5 gallon, 3 gallon. So he knew exactly where that was.
That's how he cracked it. Sorry, go ahead, Timer. I'm sorry.
No, this is what we want to talk about. These are the details that we need. They're having a hell of a party. They're spraying champagne everywhere. The woman, the knife woman, is drinking
a party
champagne.
like it's Christmas Eve and knock on the tower.
She's drinking her champagne in the most seductive way possible.
She's sunny.
She's just deep throating the bottle.
Whoa.
And he and Simon, he gets the message. So they head back to the back room where he walks in and basically gets zigzagged. which everyone kicks out of. So it ended up being okay.
But yeah, what better way to celebrate the biggest heist than with some nice sex?
Not like just regular sex, like the most aggressive sex ever. Like just hit her head on the back of the light, just take it, and she's just like, "Yeah, I'm cool."
No, they were working very stiff and so.
Well said.
So while that's going on, she's
there's a joke about shooting on each other in there too.
There's definitely a shoot.
Yeah, so they see a chopper, they see the cops, they know it's happening. Gruber gets in the chopper that they've conveniently brought with him, somehow flies it sideways out of a building. I don't know how he did that. Very impressive chopper skills. You know, on this podcast, we usually only talk about bad chopper pilots, unfortunately.
Why did I have a note on here? Yeah, I had one note in here. It said almost had a Kobe landing there.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I was dancing around it, and then you got to go and do that. Can't believe it. They're shooting. They can't see. Zeus maybe is hit in the chopper. It's hard to ascertain. McClane's trying to draw their attention, running through the parking lot. He's got one bullet left in his gun, and they go back to the well on this one. The cable has been a big player in this movie.
Yeah.
Yes.
So why not let's get a little more screen time for the cable here. He shoots the cable, it hooks the prop in the chopper, kaboom. What does he say, Glenn?
Ugh. This is my
He says, I hate Yippee-ki-yay, mother effer.
Yes.
And scene.
Like they could have just been like,
Zeus
no.
gives McClane a fresh quarter to call again. The end.
Yeah, that's it.
That's it.
Wow.
What a run.
What a ride.
10 on 10.
Yeah. My,
5 stars.
Heartbeat was about 145 a minute through this whole thing. Fantastic. Just awesome.
Yeah.
I love this.
Let's go around the horn. We'll start with Dave, then we'll go to Glenn, then to Brad. Rank them 1 to 3.
Ooh.
Glenn, or I guess
I'm out of the
Dave-
gate here.
Dave's out of the gate.
Dave barely watched this movie.
I'm putting 2 number 1. If I can say that more confusingly.
Okay, just say
Die Hard 2 is getting the gold medal.
All right, there you go.
I think I have to go original Die Hard silver, Die Hard with a Vengeance bronze.
Glenn.
I mean, I like the original one, so that one gets first place for me. And this one gets second place, and Die Hard 2 is in third, but I think they're all awesome, so.
You know, I hate to beat on Die Hard 2. I did enjoy it. Like, I enjoyed it a lot more than I thought I would. But it's going to have to get bronze for me. And I think Die Hard with a Vengeance as a whole is a gold medal for me. This is the movie, okay? It's got Samuel L. Jackson. It's got riddles. I guess that's cool. It has weird, durable cars. It's cutting people in half. All type. It has everything. They just don't make movies like this anymore. And now I did appreciate Die Hard 2. It's not anything against Die Hard 2. It's just I have a little bit more of a nostalgia with 3 and 1. But no, 2's still good. It's a close race there.
Yeah, no, I'm in the same boat. That they were all 3 great, but I actually had the same order as Dave. I went 2, 1, 3, but all close.
Well, that's weird. That's weird that you guys would be on the same line of thought.
Whoa.
As if this line of thought was just related to one another.
Like, weird how that goes.
By the way, that has only dawned on me when I joined the podcast. I go, oh, okay. Interesting.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Me either.
I just said that. I don't know why I said that.
Weird guy.
Doesn't even make any sense.
Yeah.
Do you know, quick wrestling tie-in, because I had to look up Louis Borga after Brad mentioned that. Do you know he was the one? Well, first, did you realize that Tatanka had an undefeated streak for nearly 2 years, and Louis Borga's who beat him?
Yes. Isn't that disgraceful? But in both ways. Like, why does Tatanka have that long of a streak? And then you're like, next big thing, Borga.
Yes. We're going with Borga, guys. He's going to be our man.
And then they did like 6 months with him, and they were like, he's awful.
Get him out. That's hilarious.
Yeah.
All right.
We should just do a Ludwig Borga podcast if y'all want.
Hey, I'm not doing anything next week on Wednesday.
Hey, his first major victory was over Marty Jannetty.
Oh,
We
yes.
can talk a lot about what he's been up to lately.
Yeah, how's he doing these days?
Killing guys at bowling alleys.
But you got to prove it
Confessing on
first.
social media.
Great.
I still think he was BSing a little bit, but you got to
I
prove
definitely
it.
had, like in the last 10 days, 2 different times. The first was Jannetty. I opened up Twitter and it said trending Marty Jannetty. I was like, this can't be good. And then like 3 days ago, I opened it up and it said trending Steve-O. And I was like, this can't. I thought for sure Steve-O had died, but he hadn't. So,
But rest in peace, Kamala.
Indeed.
so indeed. And his enormous thermos.
I mean, what? Really?
Kamala had a.
I guess you probably need a bigger loincloth.
Yes. Well documented. Well documented.
Well, Brad, thank you for joining us. This has been very enjoyable.
I can't thank you enough,
welcome
guys.
back.
I really appreciate
You're welcome
it.
back anytime.
I really doubt that. I really doubt you mean that, but I appreciate
I don't
you
even
saying
care
it.
what Glenn's been texting me the whole show about.
I'm getting, well, for people, we're on an audio medium. I see Tommy through the whole time. He's just like, I don't like this guy. That's all it looks like it from, yeah.
That's how Tommy looks at all of us. All the
Okay.
time.
I'm just making sure. I mean,
Unbelievable.
see, just like that.
The most welcoming member of this podcast, and I get treated that way. But no, Brad, thank you. This was a lot of fun. I think we're going to have some behind-the-scenes talk about if we're going to keep this going with the next two or not.
I would knock
But
it.
the Die Hard original trilogy has been.
If you want to have an on-air meeting right now, I'd stop. Stop now.
Stop while we're ahead.
I mean, I'm not saying the next one's not it's not the worst movie ever, but whatever. I wouldn't waste my time.
That's fair.
Okay. Well, yeah, this is off-air meeting, but we might need to follow that.
Well, just
I definitely
just
don't
as a
want to watch
fan,
this
I'm gonna say, don't do it, guys.
The last one they made is a definite no. Like I'm not.
No,
I'm
I
not
didn't. I didn't
rewatching.
even know that existed.
It's ungood is the way that I would
Ungood.
describe it.
Again, I'm not saying the fourth one's not that. It's not that bad, but don't waste your time reviewing it. At least go watch it.
All right. Well, that's our episode on Live Free or Die Hard, right there.
Is this where it abruptly ends?